It is official that the pound-for-pound king, Terence "Bud" Crawford, has agreed in principle to face off against the 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar, first ballot Hall of Famer, Saul Canelo Alvarez. So Canelo Alvarez has agreed. Terence Crawford, we knew he was going to agree. And they're working out the details to showcase their talents. Riyadh season, Cinco de Mayo weekend in May.
Hate me, but I think it's a 50-50 fight.
Hell of a fight.
Hate me, but I think it's a 50-50 fight. It's really, really hard for me to see Canelo losing to Crawford. But it's also, there's things that I can see that Crawford is so good at.
Yeah.
That it's like, I can't see him not being able to be sharp and do that round after round, man.
Canelo versus Crawford is a meeting of skill and strength, but can Crawford beat the odds in a higher weight class? Let's see what the pros have to say. Longangs Crawford's famous skills could beat the ODS chances against Canelo. Can the weight difference prove to be too much for the middleweight champion?
It happened in boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that, you know, is his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better. You know what I'm saying? But you know, Crawford is a legend, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, you can't.
Osier, a famous fighting teacher, has taught him. His thoughts on the chance of Terence Crawford moving up to fight Canelo Alvarez while Crawford is coming off a win at welterweight are that taking on Canelo at a higher weight class could be a bridge too far.
He possibly do at this point to regain that status is to beat someone of note in another weight class. And
Rosier accepts that Crawford's move to 150 pounds might be a reasonable step, but he firmly steps back from the success of a jump to face Canelo, calling it a Canellis leap.
before is going to be enough for him. Him going up to fighting, quote unquote, if it should happen, Canelo, I don't see that ending well. It's just too much and too far to go. But that's what it would take.
Rosier's advice highlights the massive job Crawford would face in taking on the pound-for-pound starret. Such a large weight difference. What do you think? Is Crawford taking off more than he can chew, or could he shock the world once again? Canelo Alvarez reveals his thoughts on a potential fight with Terence Crawford, fueling excitement among boxing fans worldwide.
Yes, it is official that the pound-for-pound king, 4-division world champion, 2-division undisputed world champion, and reigning WBA junior middleweight world champion, superstar boxer, Terence "Bud" Crawford, future first ballot Hall of Famer, undefeated, 41 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 big wins by way of knockout, 37 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach, has agreed in principle. We knew he was going to agree to face off against the 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar, first ballot Hall of Famer, former undisputed super middleweight world champion, and reigning unified super middleweight world champion, Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Mexican fighter Canelo Alvarez has, in a way, confirmed his readiness to face Terence Crawford, causing buzz around what could be one of the most anticipated fights in boxing today. This possible showdown would feature two top boxers at the pinnacle of their careers.
Crawford's name keeps coming up, and I know he's a lot smaller than you. Is that a fight that you would ever consider under any circumstance?
You know, I always say if it's a fight.
The fight between Canelo and Crawford promises to be huge. Canelo, the undefeated super middleweight king, has conquered his class with power and accuracy. Crawford, widely regarded as one of the most skilled fighters of this edge, brings a mix of technical, brilliant sand intelligence strategy that has pushed him to the top of the pound for...
See, he wants to fight, he's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
Everything in my career, every fight make my legacy different and better, no? Terence Crawford is a great fighter, he's a good fighter, but you know...
Canelo Alvarez, the unbeaten super middleweight champion, hasn't shied away from the chance of meeting Terence Crawford in the ring, while Crawford's leap into a higher weight class causes arguments. Canelo stays confident in his ability to beat the smaller fighter, speaking on Sway's universe. Canelo made it clear that he's not only open to the task, but views it as a chance to make a bold statement.
Be willing to pay whatever you want to fight Crawford. Yeah.
If he's willing to pay whatever I want, hands down.
That'll work. Yeah, so if
yeah,
you're in. So if the numbers are right with Crawford, you'll do it.
Why not? Why not? I think Crawford, don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter. But for me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight. For me, easy money. So
Canelo's comments represent his opinion that the weight difference gives him a big edge over Crawford, with a history of defeating top opponents at super middleweight. Canelo seems to view the possible clash as more of a financial chance than a risky challenge, however, for fans and experts. Crawford's skills and drive could make this fight more uncertain than Canelo expected, while Canelo Alvarez has shown interest in a possible showdown with Terence Crawford. He also gave a greater look into his thoughts on the game. Canelo didn't hesitate to address Crawford's fighting style, pointing out the difficulties of facing a highly skilled opponent despite his concerns. Fiona studied the champions show that the fight could happen under the right circumstances, especially if the cash stakes are big enough.
I'm in, because I don't like to fight guys like Crawford because he move a lot and the fight is not that great. I saw Crawford the last fight and he don't move that much now. So if the money is right.
Canelo's words highlight the difficulties of making this fight a reality. While he recognizes Crawford's ability, he stays confident in the natural benefits given by his weight class. At the same time, his words about money and style tastes suggest that for Canelo, the fight is more about the show and payday than the competitive draw. This adds another layer to the rising argument. Can Crawford's skill solve the weight difference? Or is Canelo right to lean on the limits of weight classes? This comment marks a notable change for Canelo, who had previously voiced hesitation to face Crawford, citing the lack of respect he would receive for beating a smaller opponent.
Everybody wants to fight me. Everybody calling me out and everything. And like I say, I have nothing to win with Crawford. 2-3 weights class. He's a great fighter, and I always say that. No disrespect him, but sometimes it's a little crazy that people talking about a small fighter like Charlo. He's big, which he is big, and everybody's talking about if I'm gonna face Crawford, fighter 147, who is smaller than Charlo. So no make sense when you guys say that right now. At the end of the day, I don't want to have credit to face Crawford, but you never know. You never know in boxing. I'll go up and down and fight everybody out there. So it's possible. Why not? It's possible. Go down anymore. But like he say, when they ask him for the Germonta fight, they don't wanna get credit for that fight. It's the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everybody's gonna say this too small, it's too small, and then he needs to enjoy his.
Meanwhile, Crawford has shown determination in chasing a matchup, ready to move up to weight classes to prove his dominance. Interview 12. Crawford is fully aware of the physical disadvantage he would face against Canelo, admitting that size will play a crucial role in the fight. However, he remains confident in his ability to beat this challenge and impose his fighting style.
To Jamel, and then you guys fight. That fight would be gigantic.
And it's crazy because, like, in the past interviews, I was like, man, Canelo too big, man. It's weight classes for a reason. I was like, nah. But in my mind, in my heart, I don't think nobody too big, especially in a fight. I'm a fighter. But like, I was thinking like, man, it could happen. So you start really sitting down like, man, that fight maybe can happen. Okay, so now you start.
Crawford is fully aware of the physical disadvantage he would face against Canelo, admitting that size will play a crucial role in the fight. However, he remains confident in his ability to beat this challenge and impose his fighting style.
But I'm faster, so then you start doing the advantages. You know what I mean? But like, man, we right there. Yeah. We right there, you know what I mean? So I was like, man.
And it's not like he didn't go up in weight as well.
Thurman, a former world champion, and Keith, an expert of the sport, recently broke down why Terence Crawford might see weaknesses in Canelo Alvarez, drawing from Canelo's performance against Jamal. Charles Thurman noted specific times in the fight that could fuel Crawford's belief in his chances. Thurman's thorough notes show that Crawford's approach may be recognizing trends that others miss.
When Canelo fought Charlo, besides the knockdown, Charlo was able to protect himself very well against Canelo's onslaught. The only problem was, while protecting himself, there was no offense.
Thurman stressed how Charlo's defense changes reduced damage after the knockdown, but also noted a lack of counterattacks, which allowed Canelo to control. He suggested that Crawford, known for his adaptability and offensive imagination, likely sees a chance to exploit these times by mixing strong defense with seize energy.
Seeing what I saw, I believe Crawford saw the same thing. If Charlo can go so untouched by just being, once he got dropped, his, spider senses, boom, fully awakened, right? Boom. So now hands up, don't make no mistakes. So, that's how it is. We saw it in the Munguia fight, we saw it in the last fight. It's those little mistakes that end up having big consequences against Canelo, right?
Thurman's knowledge paints a picture of Crawford studying Canelo's recent fights to find open gaps in his attack, while Charlo leans heavily on defense to live. Crawford had Mayim mix similar methods with his body boxing to not only limit Canelo's power but also create scoring chances. However, Thurman's comments also underscored the risks. One mistake against Canelo can turn the tide quickly.
Crawford is trash. Don't ever compare Crawford to Canelo again. Shout out young Triple G. He did his I felt he won. At least a draw. The judges, you weirdos, you guys suck at. And Crawford, you're not pound for pound. You never fought nobody good. You fought Spence that had a car accident.
Respected sports expert Stephen A. Smith recently shared his take on the possible mega fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, known for his open views. Smith analyzed the clash weighing Crawford's better fighting skills against Canelo's power and strength while he recognized both warriors' greatness. Smith noted the key factors that could determine the result.
It could be trouble, but I would still say it would be a very interesting fight. I just believe that Crawford hasn't been in the ring with anybody this powerful, and I'm wondering whether he can stay away. Again, Crawford is the superior boxer, but if he can't hurt Canelo, you can't keep him off of him. And that's where the problem lies.
What do you think a win like that would do for Crawford? Would that put him
Mayweather? He and I spoke about it. He and I spoke about it in Vegas when...
Smith's research points to the important balance between skill and strength. He thinks Crawford's technical skill could worry Canelo, but without the power to back it up, the relentless Mexican champion might overwhelm him. Smith went further, breaking down Canelo's approach to fighting and the risks Crawford would face if hit by one of his shots.
There's a very powerful individual who can get exposed by a boxer because every shot he throws, he's trying to make it a power shot. But to me, can Crawford hurt him? I would pick Crawford to win if he can box and stay away. I don't believe he can hurt Canelo. And if Canelo catches him, it could be trouble. But I would still say it would be a very interesting fight. I just believe that Crawford hasn't been in the ring with anybody this powerful. And
Smith's statement shows the high stakes of this possible fight on one hand. Crawford's tactical skill could show Canelo's reliance on power shots on the other. Canelo's strength and knockout potential could counter Crawford's boxing technique. Fans and experts discuss the game. Smith's words highlight the razor-thin edge that would define this unique fight regardless of these worries. The possible fight between Canelo and Crawford has grabbed the mind of boxing fans. The mix of power, speed, skill, and charm from both fighters sets the stage for what could be a memorable show. Alexis Rocha, a welterweight prospect who has shared the ring with both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford during practice sessions, offered a unique take on their possible fight, having experienced their skill sets directly. Ross Show weighed in on the matchup, accepting the physical differences while stressing both fighting skills.
Terence Crawford, yes, there is weight classes for a reason. Canelo is a lot bigger, Crawford has that. He also has a good size to him where he has that good size and he has that reach and he has that boxing IQ. That's the most important thing when it comes to a boxing game is the IQ. You know, I think Crawford will hold his own very good in that fight. But I will lean a little bit more towards Canelo given the fact that he's more experienced and he's been in there with bigger guys.
Roa's description fits with the general storyline surrounding this fight. Canelo's size and power could offer surmountable challenges for Crawford despite his better fighting IQ and flexibility for Racha. The mix of Canelo's strength and knowledge gives him the edge's views. Add another layer to the ongoing argument. Will Crawford's skill be enough to break the rules of boxing's weights? Saul Canelo Alvarez has not yet made a choice on who will be his opponent for his next fight in 2025. However, it's looking increasingly possible that Terence Crawford will be his next opponent in the ring. Crawford has freely admitted that he wants to fight Canelo and directly challenge the Mexican, although he is still waiting for an answer.
Serious about fighting Canelo Alvarez?
Of course.
I know you're serious, but I've got to ask you for the people that are watching.
Of course.
Are you confident that that fight is a fight that you can win?
Well, I'm always confident that I can win any fight that I step foot in the ring. You know, Canelo is a big, strong competitor. He's a great fighter. He's a future Hall of Famer. And that's what we in the game for, is to leave a legacy that will surpass our lifetime.
Now, media such as FTV Boxing say that Crawford's name is one of those on Canelo's list as a possible opponent. But he would be the best choice to return to the ring in May, although the date of the fight at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas has not yet been announced. Sean Porter, a past middleweight champion who shared the ring with Terence Crawford, has lost, worried about Canelo Alvarez coming up to face Crawford, having experienced Crawford's skill personally. Porter respects his fighting skills but fears that the size and power differential could pose a big risk to Crawford in this possible battle.
Two more weight classes, like once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different. I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo, he's going to slow down. You know, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he still got that kind of steam. But, you know, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo have, and how we find how they even out and who trumps one another, you know what I mean? We tried to do that with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, and we see how that panned out, you know what I mean? So
Porter's warning represents the physical task Crawford would face against a fighter like Canelo, who has shown deadly power at higher weight classes, while Crawford's strategic skills and flexibility are proven. Porter's fears show the inherent danger of going up to face a much bigger opponent. This adds to the rising debate. Does Crawford's skill set outweigh the risks, or is he moving into a situation where the odds are stacked heavily against him? There is another important fact to mention. Robert Garcia has hinted at the meeting, and sources say that Crawford is on Canelo's watch list for their Cinco de Mayo fight, while nothing is official. Reports say that Turkey Alec could take the fight to Las Vegas. Talks of a May 2025 fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford are making moves. Trainer Robert Garcia hinted at the fight and claimed that Crawford was on Canelo's choice for his CCO, Deo Jade.
I think Crawford is looking at, just a huge fight with Canelo, and if he doesn't get it, he might not even fight anymore, because he's told me that before. But there's so many other fights out there too. We're just taking fight by fight with Virgil.
Elisa mentioned that the fight between Canelo and Crawford could change dates because June would be the best month to hold the match. Even though nothing has been officially approved, it is well known that for reasons relating to pay-per-event, May is usually the month picked for the Mexican functions in the United States, as stated. Crawford is not the only option for the Mexicans in his next defense of the unified super middleweight championship, since Christian Mbili is the main option, as he is the WBC's #1 contender in the 168B ranking. However, the Golden Green Group has not named him as a mandatory challenger.
The vendor's question, you get asked this all the time. I almost hate asking you, but if someone's willing to put up the $250 million,
I mean,
would you negotiate down?
No less than 200.
No less than 200.
On the other hand, if they offer him $200 million, he would fight David Benavidez. And finally, Dimitri Bivol is still on the list for a possible return. although the boxer himself has mentioned that he opens the door to Canelo for the moment. It is not his focus because he has other aims in mind.
What would make sense? Like, there's a couple of names out there, but we know that's not gonna happen.
There are few viable athletes out there for Canelo to choose from outside of Benavidez and Crawford. But a Canelo versus Crawford fight, especially if it was held in the US, could possibly break the mythical 1 million pay-per-view sales ceiling of Crawford's PPV events. His thumping win over Spence was by far his most famous, as it sold to 700,000 homes in the US alone. Canelo, meanwhile, has fought 16 times on pay-per-view, selling to a total of 11.6 million houses for almost $1 billion in income. Turkey Ake could pay for the fight to take place in Las Vegas. Nothing is public at all yet. Money talks loudly, and we all know the kind of unput-downable amounts of money the Saudi billionaire, or is it zillionaire, offers to athletes to ensure they fight the fights he wants to see, and Alex still wants to see Canelo versus Crawford. It would be a fascinating fight, a real battle of modern-day greats. Crawford 41031 and already a 4-weight king would be giving up a heck of a lot of wee if he fought Canelo at 168 lb is the way, but has said in the recent past he would fight Canelo at. However, Canelo might have slowed a little at age 34-35 in July, perhaps enough for Crawford Choutslicken. And when a decision that said Crawford is the older man at age 37, and though he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down, it could conceivably come at any time, and it would be the wrong place, and the wrong fight for this to happen should it happen. In May, who could it be if it's not Crawford for Canelo in May? But if it is Canelo versus Crawford on May 3rd, in a fight that could be DB, daring to be great, the whole world will be watching. You can count on that, as both fighters are the biggest. Showdown in boxing, the question remains. Will Crawford's technical brilliance be enough to overcome Canelo's power? Or is the size difference just too much to overcome? Share your ideas in the comment area.